There is a confusing mathematics to sleep that begins to emerge after the age of 50. It is a calculation that simply does not add up. You look at the clock when you go to bed, perhaps at 10:30 p.m. You look at the clock when you wake up, and it is 6:30 a.m. By all accounts, you have achieved the gold standard. You have spent 8 hours in bed. You were unconscious for the majority of that time, and yet when your feet hit the floor, you do not feel restored. Instead of waking up with a reserve of energy, you feel a heaviness behind the eyes, a mental fog that takes hours to burn off, or a physical lethargy that follows you through the morning. It feels unfair. You did the right thing. You prioritized your rest, you went to bed on time, and you slept through the night. So why does the body feel as though it has been working a night shift rather than resting? This discrepancy between time asleep and feeling rested is one of the most common complaints among healthy adults in their 50s and 60s. It often leads to a quiet anxiety. We begin to wonder if we are depressed, if our thyroid is off, or if we are simply slowing down permanently. But the reality is often less alarming, though it requires a shift in perspective. The reason you feel tired after 8 hours is likely not because you aren't sleeping, but because the efficiency of that sleep has changed. The definition of what happens during those 8 hours has shifted beneath the surface. You are not losing your mind, and you are not necessarily sick. You are simply inhabiting a body that manages its maintenance schedule differently than it did a few decades ago. To understand why the math isn't working, we have to look at what sleep actually is. We tend to think of sleep as a simple off switch. If the switch is off, we assume we are resting. However, sleep is not a passive state of nothingness. It is an active, high-energy maintenance shift. Imagine your brain is a large office building. During the day, the building is full of people, noise, meetings, and activity. At night, the workers leave, and the cleaning crew comes in. In your 30s, this cleaning crew was ruthless. They came in, scrubbed the floors, repaired the lights, filed away the memories, and cleared out the trash. They worked efficiently and deeply. Even if there was a thunderstorm outside, they kept working. When you woke up, the building was pristine and ready for a new day. As we age, this cleaning crew changes its behavior. They are still clocking in. You are still sleeping for 8 hours, but they are easily distracted. This distraction is caused by the decline of a very specific brainwave feature known as sleep spindles. Sleep spindles are brief bursts of brain activity that act like noise-canceling headphones for the nervous system. When you are asleep, your ears are still hearing the furnace click, a car drive by, or the wind against the window. In a younger brain, sleep spindles block that sensory information from reaching the conscious mind. They say, "Ignore that, stay asleep, keep cleaning." Research indicates that as we mature, the production of these protective spindles naturally decreases. Without this buffer, the brain becomes hypersensitive to the environment. This leads to a phenomenon called micro-arousals. A micro-arousal is a moment where your brain wakes up for just 3 to 10 seconds. Not long enough for you to remember it, but long enough to interrupt the cleaning crew. You might sleep for 8 hours, but if your brain was pulled into a shallow state of alertness 50 times during the night due to temperature changes, noise, or minor discomfort, you never truly settled into the deep, restorative rhythm. You think you slept a solid block of time, but biologically, you slept in dozens of jagged fragments. The office building wasn't fully cleaned because the crew kept stopping every few minutes to check a noise. This is why you wake up feeling unrefreshed. The time was spent, but the maintenance was not completed. Furthermore, the physical structure of the body changes how we regulate heat, which plays a massive role in this fragmentation. For deep restorative sleep to occur, the body's core temperature needs to drop by about 2 to 3 degrees. In our younger years, this heat dump happens automatically and rapidly. But as circulation changes and metabolism shifts, the body becomes less efficient at shedding this heat. If the core temperature stays even slightly too high, the body hovers in light sleep, unable to descend into the deep recovery stages where true energy restoration happens. So, the problem is not the quantity of your sleep. It is the continuity and the depth. You are getting the hours, but you aren't getting the restoration. Once we realize that the goal is continuity, preventing those micro-arousals, we can change our strategy. We stop obsessing over the clock and start focusing on thickening the sleep we do get. We need to help the cleaning crew work without interruption. Here are 2 strategic adjustments to improve sleep efficiency. followed by a way to support the system internally. 1. Thermal regulation strategy. Since the aging body struggles to dump heat, we have to help it manually. The instinct during colder months is to pile on heavy blankets or flannel pajamas. However, this often traps heat around the core, triggering those micro-arousals at 3 a.m. A counterintuitive but effective method is the warm bath effect. Taking a warm bath or shower about an hour before bed brings blood to the surface of the skin. When you step out of the warm water into a cooler room, that heat rapidly dissipates from the body. This sudden drop in temperature mimics the natural biological signal for deep sleep. Combine this with keeping the bedroom cooler than you think is necessary, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 18-20 degrees Celsius. You can keep your feet warm with socks, as cold feet can keep you awake, but allow the rest of the body to stay cool. This assists the body in maintaining that deep sleep temperature threshold. 2. The sedation trap. Rethinking the nightcap. Many people over 50 notice that a glass of wine or a cocktail in the evening helps them relax. It feels like a sleep aid because it helps you lose consciousness faster. However, sedation is not sleep. Alcohol is one of the most effective suppressors of REM sleep, the dreaming stage, and deep sleep. It might knock the cleaning crew unconscious, but it prevents them from doing their job. More importantly, as the alcohol is metabolized halfway through the night, it creates a rebound effect. It raises the heart rate and body temperature, causing a spike in those micro-arousals exactly when you need the most rest. If you are waking up tired after 8 hours, try a dry week. You might find it harder to fall asleep initially, but the quality of the sleep you get will likely improve drastically. Natural support for a quieter system. Sometimes, even with a cool room and no alcohol, the nervous system is simply too brittle. The decline in sleep spindles means the brain is just too reactive to noise and stress. In this context, the body may benefit from natural support designed to dampen that reactivity. We are not talking about sleeping pills that force the body into a coma-like state. We are looking for nutrients that provide the raw materials for relaxation. Certain minerals and botanical compounds have been used for centuries to help lower the volume of the nervous system. Ingredients like magnesium, for example, play a role in muscle relaxation and the regulation of the body's stress response. Other amino acids found in nature can help support the brain's ability to filter out sensory input. The idea is to provide a nutritional buffer, a way to help the body ignore the creaky floorboards and the streetlights so it can stay in that deep cleaning mode. For those interested in adding a layer of nutritional defense to their sleep hygiene, there is a link in the description below. It details a specific natural option that focuses on supporting these relaxation pathways without the grogginess associated with heavy sedatives. It is a tool for those looking to improve the quality of their rest, not just the duration. The frustration of the unrefreshed morning is real, but it does not have to be permanent. It requires a shift in how we judge our nights. We need to stop looking strictly at the number of hours on the clock and start looking at the environment we create for our bodies. By understanding that your brain is now more sensitive to heat, noise, and chemical disruptions, you can take steps to shield it. You can help your body drop its temperature. You can avoid the trap of liquid sedation. And you can provide the nutritional support your nervous system needs to hold on to deep sleep. It is about moving from a passive hope that sleep happens to an active cultivation of the right conditions. When you improve the efficiency of your sleep, 6.5 hours of high-quality continuous rest can feel infinitely better than 8 hours of fragmented, shallow dozing.